Very good morning to everybody. As we sit in stillness, looking deep within, looking at last night, looking at yesterday, looking at the day before yesterday, the winding down that we did. Let's look at our breath today. The breath is going in, the breath is going out. Soak in the thoughts, feel them. Keep looking at the breath. Stomach is coming out, stomach is going in, stomach is coming out, stomach is going in. As we are spending this me time with ourselves, I was sitting in my clinic and my phone bell rang for the 1 minute meditation. But I don't stop when I'm dealing with the patient. I do it between two patients. How many of you are doing this exercise? It's very, very useful. So this patient in front of me, the young boy, and he asked me what that bell was. So I told him it's about just bringing myself to myself so that I distract myself from all the chaos which is there around me. And he asked me one question, which I'm asking all of you. Does it really work? Does what work? Sitting in silence, sitting in stillness, sitting with yourself, deep diving with yourself, meditation. Does it really work? So he told me his story that I did it for 2 years and nothing happened, nothing changed. And he gave it up. So I asked him what exactly he was doing. So I said I have to sit in silence, straight, without moving my body and without moving myself. And I have to sit like this for hours together. Imagine hours. If you're sitting for hours like this, wouldn't there be a change inside of you? I was very curious to know, like, how can you sit for hours like this, sitting in this position like this? So it was very entertaining for me. I was very amused to hear that. He said, I should sit like this on my laptop. I should do my work. I should not move my body, not move my eyes, not move anything. And I should do this. I kept on doing, without moving my body. Obviously, the concept was not clear to him. What is that change that is going to come in us when we are doing what we are doing? And how do we gauge that? And the answer to that is that when I look at myself in the mirror, what do I see? Do I see the physical attributes of a person? Do I see my accolades or my accomplishments? What do I see? Do I see my growth, my self development from within myself? That is for us to decide what is the growth in my inner self. How is this mindfulness, this meditation helping me to grow within myself? And not only you can gauge that, even the people around you can gauge that. If I'm not going towards stillness, if I'm not going towards non reaction or just from reaction to response, if I'm critical about everything in my life, if I'm not in my sanctuary, if I'm just, the gateways are just open and I just react to any damn thing which happens in my life, I know I'm not on the right track. The more we do, the more progress we make in our life. So that is one thing, that we gauge our progress by looking at ourselves in the mirror, not the physical self, but to understand how I'm growing within myself. The other way to gauge is the other people in our life gauge us. In the clinic, I'm in an open space, so everybody is watching me, right? So I'm very well behaved. Sometimes I'm not also. So my progress is gauged by whatever happens in my clinic, patients are not coming on time, patients are reacting, patients are doing this, my staff is not this, staff is not that. So, what is my behavior in my clinic? It's very easy to not get angry in the clinic because people are watching. But there are other times, the quieter times within myself, whether I'm able to control my anger, whether I'm able to go towards stillness. So I feel that the more we go towards stillness, that is our progress in our life. Our state of mind changing, our behavior changing is our progress in life. It's progress towards spirituality, it's progress towards how I behave with my own self. What is my, how do I see myself within myself? And one more question I want to ask everyone, and I ask myself is, in times of chaos, do I give up my meditation? If I do, then how am I going to improve myself? Doesn't matter. I think the person, when he's very, very busy, my Guruji used to always say that I remember telling him in the beginning that I don't have time. So he used to tell me that is why you need meditation. That is the reason that you have to make. And in times of chaos, in times of tough times, even if we are sitting for 5 minutes, it's okay. But today, neuroscience is telling us that all the changes are happening in the brain. It's not something rocket science that we are just behaving, seeing our own behavior. That is one thing, but there is full documentation in science that the amygdala becomes less reactive. The size of the amygdala becomes small. The PFC becomes big, and the connections between the two become very strong. So the control of amygdala on the PFC is less. So we are not in that vigilant mode, that safety mode all the time. We are going within ourselves and we are less reacting. We're happier. We are more still and our concentration is better. Our listening skills are better. And we give importance to the opposite person also who's sitting in front of us. It's not about that I have to talk only about me, me, me. It becomes really insignificant what I want to talk about. It's more about that what I want to ask the other person. Tell me what is in your heart. Tell me what do you want to say. These are some of the questions which came to my mind today, so I shared it with you. It is for us to see our own progress in the mirror of your heart. It's for me to see how I'm growing or I'm deteriorating. If I'm not doing the me time, if I'm not doing the surrender, how am I going to change myself? Thank you so much. And over to you, David. Wishing you a very, very beautiful day today and very abundant and prosperous day today.
Happy morning, happy morning, happy morning. I'm going to preempt my whole talk with this statement and just make note of it, please. And just journey with us on this. I have instructed my tech team to double check who is accessing my data and who's not accessing my data. What you're going to hear from me, I've not spoken to Alka. Okay? And I'm going to also give you 3 statements as I start this, for you to now understand how things work and how the mind works. The first statement is, you are the vibrational extension. You are the vibrational extension of physical and non-physical elements. Now, you get what you think about, which is a common statement that everybody knows about.
Can you repeat?
You get what you think about. This, I don't think many have, and I'm going to ask a question of this also. You get what you feel about what you think about. You get what you feel about, what you think about. Now, before I divulge further on that, can you share with me your thoughts on that last statement? Very quickly, I don't want long because we got short time. Anybody?
Yeah, a lot of times if we have a doubt in our head and if we half-heartedly do certain things, then we'll get the other things what we don't want.
Okay. Yeah. Anybody else?
Like even in visualization or thinking, it just doing that doesn't matter. It is that whole combination of all your senses when you actually feel it, that you're there, and what that feeling is most important to manifest what you want.
Yes. Anybody else? I repeat it one more time for you to reflect upon. Yeah, please. Who's that?
Morning, David. Morning, everyone.
Hi. Morning.
Our thoughts influence our emotions, and it's
Yeah.
actually the emotion that gives rise to the vibrational frequency which the
Yeah.
universe is responding to,
And your manifestation in place.
and your manifestation thereof. Yeah.
Fabulous. Bullseye. Now, many don't realize this point. Many do not realize this point. You get what you feel about. So you're thinking what you think about. How are you feeling in relation to that? And what are you really, really driving? Hence my start talk some weeks back. Are you in the cutting edge? And I spoke about the 5 physiological senses. And many do not understand how to get to the cutting edge. They're giving and doing things half-heartedly, like what Nadeem mentioned. And some don't know how to stretch in other areas. So I'm going to cover just the practices, only that topic today. I hope time permits me to finish it off. The practices that you need to put in place to be in the core of your me time, to get the most out of it. I repeat it one more time. You get what you feel about and what you think about. Now, I'm going to make references to a number of people here at the start before I deep dive, because some of this content has come from them, and most of it is my experience using those content for people. I follow and read a lot of Abraham and Esther Hicks. I also work a lot on a lot of the TEDx podcasts that people have spoken about. And one lady in particular that I connect a lot with is Wendy. And what I need you to understand is you need to now reach outside of the norm. And when you understand this, you will then understand why it is so powerful. What are some of the areas that you can practice and deep dive into? Number one, your reflection. Many do this. We do that every day. So I'm saying take time to reflect on your thoughts and emotions. And while you're doing it, think. You see, we are masters of our vessel, okay? But the master of the vessel did not tell Alka, I'm going to touch on these topics where some scenarios are here. And the master of my vehicle did not tell me that. So the master of the universe fabric told us that. We're playing a different game here, guys. So take stock, reflection, take time to reflect on your thoughts. Now, please, I beg you, do not jump from your seat and do 50 different things. Mothers, I understand you have an obligation to your kids. Park your kids aside. I read time and time again the reams of it. I got to do this for my child. Please, your child will survive. That's what my pediatrician told me about my daughter when we were so frightened that she was not eating. So please understand this. You need to take care of you. The same way, do not take the call when you are on a session like this. There has been people who have attended other committee meetings. In the middle of the meeting, they're running the meeting, they're taking the call and talking, and then turns on and closes the meeting and goes away. What respect are you giving to all the other people that are there? That straight away defuncts that whole meeting. If you set the meeting, everything else stays in second bay. I'll tell you, I learned that the hard way, because I used to address these calls at 1 and 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning because of the different time zones. As VP for the oil and gas company, money was being shifted from country to country. And I used to cry with my boss saying, I can't do this at night. And he said, have you heard of a thing called, before mobile started, by the way, have you heard of a thing called answering machines? I said, no, I did. And he said, just park it all on answering machine. You don't have to be there 24/7. So I'm going to tell you, park your digital aside. Alka and I did this session in sleep session. Your digital is not your driving force. So when you come to something like this, park your digital aside. And then he turned around and he finished. This is how good coaches are. He finished that statement with me and he said, you will then have another problem, which is, how do you reprioritize all the calls that have come in your answering machine? We will teach you how to prioritize that. You see what I'm talking about? That's the skill of a good coach. So I'm telling you very simply here, guys, don't play with this me time. Do not play with this me time. So when you talk about doing reflection of your thoughts and your emotions, the process you go through for that. Yes, we all do journaling. Yes, we all do mindfulness. Yes, we all do meditation. What do we meditate? What are we mindful about? What do we do journaling in the morning? We focus on our breath. Alka keeps saying that. Miriam keeps saying that. Anda keeps saying that. What are we really focusing on? Are you actually penetrating into the 4-beat count? Are you observing your thoughts without judgment? Huh? Or are you thinking about something else while you're here? Because I mentioned earlier, you get what you feel about. So when you're thinking of something else, your feel factor has gone somewhere else. It's not here. I hope you understand that. Are you letting go of stress and tension? Because that's the key thing you got to do. Are you letting go of stress and tension? If you're not, please take stock. See, nobody asked me or nobody texted a message. I did this intentionally, by the way, because I'm currently reading a book on intentions by not Wayne Dwyer, but by Estelle and Abraham Hicks, The Power of Intentions. Now, the key thing that is coming out of this is I made a mention of one person's name, Wendy, intentionally. Nobody asked me, what's the author? How do I go search for it? You see, if you're attuned and astute, you should have stopped then. What's the other, what's her name? How do I search it, David? Let me feed you that. Wendy Suzuki.
Suzuki, yeah, Wendy Suzuki. Yeah.
Thank you, Alka. See?
Talks about the brain. She talks about the brain structure with exercise and with all of those things.
Exactly. The intensity of the exercise to enlarge. She's got a laboratory that she's working. The intensity of the exercise that you do, how it impacts your hypothalamus. Is that how you pronounce the word? And your prefrontal cortex. And the magnitude of that, how it can assist you with the diseases that many people are suffering, degenerative diseases. It stops it. And I've got patients here. I'm talking about patients. I got patients in this platform whose parents are suffering from that. And they call me to ask what's the solution for it. And they're not here. Did you get the message? I hope you're getting the message. Now, I would sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, request each of you, I think there's how many? 13 of you here, excluding me. That's 12 of you here. Can each of you take the responsibility to talk to one person personally, not message, in MRM and tell them this, they need to be here for their survival? I'm requesting this of you humbly, because many don't see. It's like, you know, you had children who never wanted to go to school and you used to push them, get the assignment done. That's what I'm trying to get them to understand, because they're so naive. Because without that, they will die. That's the power of me time, guys. When you understand all of this, the synchronity in which this works, your self-awareness can help you gain clarity and perspective. That's why we do these practices of reflection. That's the only reason. So as Alka said, that boy was sitting there quietly, gathering his thoughts. He wasn't. He was sitting there quietly doing something else. No wonder it's default. So many are doing the same, unknowingly. Now, another area where your expectation on me time goes into, you need this relaxation time. This is for you. This is not for your children. This is not for your husband or wife. This is for you. Self-care. This is what I'm talking about. You, self-reflecting. The second area, hobbies. Reading, painting, playing music, whatever. Attach yourself to a hobby. That's the first thing I gave advice to that person whose grandmother is dying of depression with all the sicknesses, and they're rushing her to hospital 5-6 times a month. She never had the opportunity of being taught how to get a hobby. I'm suggesting each of you get into a hobby. Reading, painting, playing. And if you notice, I really love gardening. I never liked it before. My dad used to do it. But now I have 5 good shirts, singlets that are torn with holes all over. So much so that the other day when my daughter came down and she said, "Dad, what is this?" So she went to Kmart and got me 10 singlets to wear. And I said, "I like my old singlet." She said, "No, you're an embarrassment to us. What will the people think, that I can't take care of my father?" And that's the singlet that I didn't want to show that day when I walked in Fire to Wire, and it wasn't Prashana's singlet, it was my own singlet with the holes in it. Now, what I'm saying to you guys is you need to now understand, when you deep dive into hobbies, you throw your all into that hobby. In that hobby, don't carry your phone in the back pocket. Hurry. What did we do before phones arrived, mobile phones arrived? You go and listen to my friend Simon Simic, and he throws the mobile phone out. He talks about yuppie generation. So it's an insult when I see a person who is so well educated, supposed to be so mindful, comes on platforms like this and start using phones and talking on phones. Please stop the people in your meetings, in your committee meetings. Give edification to that. That's why I started the topic of the year with edification. Now, allow them to understand this hobby. Allow whom to understand? Allow your mind to understand that this hobby you're doing, you are giving it full attention. You are going to immerse yourself in that activity without any external distractions. Full stop. That is when you are immersing in your hobby. Just like sitting in silence. Because that's what self-care is all about. I hope this message is coming through loud and clear. And I'm not saying this in jest. You know, in the early days when we came back from India, and then I used to talk about getting finishing schools 101 in place. This is not saying in jest. India needs this. Guys like you need it. Why am I saying that? Because corporates have spent lakhs of money paying me, lakhs, to teach them some of these things. Because the standard that and by the way, they are not any standard average university kid. They're all IIT graduates that were hired by this MNCs. You know what Google pays some people when they hire them. That's exactly the same that they do with Microsoft, with Bank of Scotland and all the other. So I was working with that echelon of people. And those IIT graduates knew bugger all. Sorry to use that word, zero when it came to this. We had to teach them this. So I am telling you what I'm giving them. Please understand, etiquette is more than just being nice to people. These implicit things that you do not do in front of people is an insult to the person. That's why de-edification was the key element that was spoken of. Please understand this. It is not to throw insult to India. I'm an Indian. But it's to say we are so good in so much things that we can learn and imbibe these things and alter it so we can customize that into our families. So reflection has been covered. Hobbies has been covered. Now let me get to Wendy. I know I'm going to take 3 or 4 minutes. Let me get to Wendy. Her physical exercises that she talks about. How it builds up this brain factor. Go and listen to her videos. The prolonged benefit to your brain when you do this. It's like you're going to the gym and stretching your muscles and building your biceps and all of that. Same thing happens with this brain thing that they talk. Your prefrontal cortex. And the amount of those chemicals that is built up for the benefit of the body. Sustenance from it lasts longer than 2 to 3 hours after the exercise. So some of us who are sitting in the sedimentary positions, get up. Protect your brain and body form. Incurable neurodegenerative diseases. I'm not taking the platform from Alka. She's the master at this. Come and listen to us tomorrow about diabetes and the stuff that we talk about. Make the time. This is what you got to do. Make the time to go listen to those things. Whether it's a brisk walk. Many are doing brisk walks. You know what they're doing brisk walks? I'll tell you, because I did this in Turvami Beach. There, 4 or 5 of them will sit down and talk. No, sit down and walk. And they will talk about mother-in-law, father-in-law, this problem, that problem. What is the impact to your body, yeah? What is the impact? Whatever is coming has already been diluted minus 200%. I hope it's making sense, huh? I'm in a good state. I should go for another hour of this. I love it when I'm in this state. Now, let me also share with you another thing that's important that Mandy said. It's extremely important for you guys to understand this. Please, please, please. When you exercise, shift your focus from just doing the exercise, but be mindful about it. Wow. So when you go walking, or when you do yoga, don't think about 201 things because it's diluted the impact. When you're here, don't think about 250 things. It's lost its impact. So the physical activity has got huge benefits when you look at that. And I used to get into state of trance. I love traveling in train. My exercise was, shifting with the train, not against it, but in line with it. And I go into a trance state. So feel the sensations. Now I come back and I'm going to, I need to stop here because it's over time. I'm going to get you to understand. Go back and rework on your 5 senses. VOG, visual, auditory, kinesthetic, olfactory, gastro. Some didn't know we had 5 physiological senses. Many didn't know that. When I ask the question at the start of my sessions, every session, they will talk about 6 and 7. There's only 5. Make sure you have them at your sharp cutting edge. You sharpen your knife, you sharpen your senses. Any questions? Any questions, please?
I like
Yeah,
to
please.
share one.
I'm sorry, Prabhu.
Small- I would like to share on your this brisk walk.
Good, please.
The other day, 3 days back, we celebrated birthday of one of our senior citizens. birthday.
Right.
And one of the sharing, we normally have a get together and we talk about that person. The essence of the talk was that whenever this man goes for a morning walk, he doesn't talk to anybody.
Hmm.
Doesn't talk to anybody, only he's focusing on his walk. Normally, what happens when we are going for a walk, if somebody meets, we, we just spend some time with him, asking about, talking about something and all that. But this man, a lot of people shared who were familiar with him. He never ever stopped for a second also. He will wave hand, but he will move continuously. It is taking this walk. So wherever we are doing such kind of exercise, it is very important that we do not indulge in any other stuff, gossip or anything.
Yeah.
Be focused, and that helps.
Right. Thank you for
Yeah, I wanted.
re-emphasizing that.
Yeah, I
Really
wanted to share.
appreciate that. Yeah, one moment, Nadim. I'll get to you.
Yeah, sure.
Deepa is up there with a hand up.
Hmm.
Please, Deepa.
David, so I wanted to know, when we are making goals and we have plan A and plan B, when we go, our intention is to have the plan A successful, right? But when we are also preparing ourselves that in case we fail, we make a plan B and C. But in that case, we are actually doubting on the intention of the success of the plan A.
I understand where you're coming from, and I'm going to suggest something to you, and I'm going to get you because I'm forcing you to start doing this. Start reading Estelle and Abraham Hicks's book, which is what was my fourth time read, The Amazing Power of the Deliberate Intentions, and go into chapter 4, and she defines that very clearly. I'm going to do this from now on. That means now you're going to exercise your brain, okay? Not yours, everybody I'm talking about. It's
Yeah.
important, guys, because there's so much out there, you know? I didn't go in deep dive into Wendy Suzuki, primarily because there's so much of hers out there. And the same thing here. And Abraham and Esther have been known for years. By the way, I need everybody to be cautious. I've never recommended a lot of Abraham's work on this platform or any platform. Very cautiously, I do it, primarily because there is a little bit of affinity towards Christianity in some of their works and teachings. And some people might find that offensive. So I'm cautioning it. Understand they normally sway towards a bit of Christianity ideology, but if you can just bypass or consider that, park it, and take the principles and apply it yourself. That's the key thing. Somebody else, Nadim, yeah, please.
Yeah.
Come in,
Whenever I do yoga, I'll put the soft music and
right.
just focus on my movement.
Right.
Then, even if I do for 15 minutes, it has a huge impact on me.
Yes.
Instead of doing hours together in gym or doing something, so that 15 minutes to half an hour, when I do the yoga with breathing and listening to music and cutting off all my thoughts, that's a huge impact. The Dr. Alka, what she shared, like a lot of people, they don't know how to do it, but they're doing hours together, years together. Just simply understanding how to do it, even if you do 5 minutes, there is a huge impact.
Yeah. And being in the feel factor of it, that's the key underlying fact. Yeah, so true, Nadim. Now, because of time, I'm abbreviating everything. I hope everyone understands that I'm not just wanting to stop you from giving your share of information. And you had your hand up, yeah.
David, just very briefly, Saturday in the workshop that I did, we spoke about the vibrations that you put out into the universe. I took the participants through the vibrational chart. And the reason for that is when two of them came in, I could see they weren't feeling altogether that well. We covered a lot of stuff that we talk about on the platform. And interesting, the one participant had to leave because she had something to do. And she actually came back. She said she reached home, she did what she had to do, and then she turned around and said, but I want to come back for more. And during the session, watching these people putting their vision board together, how immersed they went into it was absolutely fascinating
Mm.
to experience. So
Yeah.
thank you very much for everything that you taught us and for me being able to convey that to somebody else.
My pleasure, my pleasure. But my only caution, not only to you, Enda, but to everybody, you've got so much of information. You now need to be the filter of what you give at what stage the person is in. I hope you're understanding what I'm saying. For example, if we are talking about secondary or tertiary school education, they're not going to come down and give the kindergarten kid that type of data. So you need to groom the people. So that's why if you looked at anything that I do, I lead them into it over a period of time. And the sustenance or the retention of it is far greater. Whereas if you do what I call info dump, KT dump, knowledge transfer dump, what then happens is they've got all of this and they'll say, wow, I got it. Like a fat little baby, they'll go and do whatever they're doing. And 90% of it is lost. So the way to have an impact, I'm teaching a coaching partner, the way to have the impact is to see this information that you have and what you're going to disseminate to them, and then park them in certain categories over a period of time, building your blocks of info transfer. And that's the power of an influencer or a coach. When it comes to doing that, he knows the skill. And I'm not wanting to be boastful. If you go and see my LinkedIn, that's exactly why the testimonials I get from some of the corporates that do come back to me is because they say, this guy knows how to decipher complex and make it simple. And the reason nothing is made simple. All I've done is segmentize what I deliver them. And that's the power that you have in you when you do that. Any others, please? Okay, thank you, guys. Please, can you just text me after this who you're going to call? I really want to get those guys to see what we are doing and get a feel, because I don't know. So you can just text me a name of one person that you're going to call and explain to them the importance. Don't tell them the content, please. They won't know, but explain to them it is for their life and their family's life that I'm trying to get them to understand and come. You are trying to get them to understand and come.
Nick, can I invite people to attend Fire to Wire or MRM?
No. Fire to Wire.
Okay, right.
Now you can invite them for MRM, like tonight's talk, or not tonight, when is it? Thursday night's talk. By the way, I've released that information on Pavan. Pavan is a very close associate. He runs one of the top schools in Bangalore. And it's startling what he has done. He uses outside the norm methodology of teaching. And I've spoken to his students. In fact, grades 5 and 6 are now visualizing how they're becoming a fighter pilot. That's the extent. This guy's a mathematician. And it's built an organization that way of students, formulating their mindsets and stuff like that. So Pavan is coming to talk to us on entrepreneurial skills on Thursday. So I would suggest you beat the bush to get the people out there. And he's really good. So if you can just talk to one or two of your people from MRM to join this, that'll be really good. Take care of their family.
David,
Right.
if I may just ask you,
Please,
are you wanting
Miriam.
us to talk to people to specifically get them to attend Fire to Wire India, these sessions
Yes,
you're doing on the
Fire to
modality?
Wire session. Yes, these sessions.
This India one.
Right.
Okay.
Yes, primarily to allow them to see. Just it's when they taste something, they will know it's for the benefit. Not that I'm taking anything away from South Africa, please, and I want to make sure we build it and then we can pass it on to you. You guys can run multiples of it. Yeah, point the finger at me. Okay. Take care, guys. Have a wonderful day. I'm sorry I went over time today.
Faith.
David, could you repeat the book name?
The intentions, the amazing power of divine intentions or deliberate intentions.
Okay.
Chapter
And
4 for you. Chapter 4 for you. It's on intentions.
okay.
Everybody else? It's Abraham and Esther Hicks. I love the way he puts it. He doesn't talk about flow. He says the art of allowing. he's a whiz man, that guy. Right, guys, have a wonderful day. Take care now. We speak to you soon. Bye-bye. Have a good sleep, guys, from Africa.